All right, welcome to Raven's Arcana. I am Raven. Thank you for joining me. And I'm going to speak about the Five of Wands. We're going to talk about numerology and the association to this card, astrological significance. We're going to talk about color significance, the symbolism of the imagery, and also how it relates a little bit to the Tree of Life. And we're going to use the Rider-Waite Tarot deck because for me, this is going to capture all the symbolism that I'm attempting to discuss. Now, immediately, we see five male figures dressed in, looks like each other's clothes. They're pretty mismatched there, right? They're all brandishing wands. Looks very playful, except for, what I call the striker here. Striker is in red, appears to be striking, if you will, in the cut it out. The dad, let's reel this in. Let's stop it. Stop the playfulness, right? Let's get serious. They're standing on green, fertile ground, appears to be, or there's maybe some shadows or some barren grass that's appears to be turning green, and there's blue skies in the background. So there's no stormy skies. Doesn't look scary. They're also not dressed in armor. They're not brandishing weapons like swords, although you probably get hurt with a wooden stick there, a wand, right? And, for most people, this is going to mean chaos. And in numerology, the 5 is going to be adversity or chaos. It's going to be something that is about difficulty, misfortune, disorder, confusion, and imbalance. Now, I wanted to read a little definition of what chaos is defined as, according to physics, because it kind of resonated with me. The first part of that is behavior so unpredictable that it appears random. Okay. So there's things going on that's so willy-nilly, so crazy that you just can't wrap your head around it, right? And then you have the other part of that, which is great sensitivity to small changes in condition. And what that meant for me is we are sensitive beings. We are sensitive to not only the changes within ourselves, the micro, but also to the macro and the environment. Environmental changes affect us significantly. Very sensitive to that, and obviously the way our internal environment, our bodies are set up, obviously we're sensitive to that. Now, we talked about the numerology and the 5 and chaos, right? And then I want to talk a little bit about the astrology. So the astrology of this card is Saturn in Leo. Well, what is Saturn? Saturn is rules, regulations. It's going to be authority. It's also going to be time. And then what is Leo? Leo is, creativity, ego, vitality. It's that divine spark, that fire, which is the wands are the fire element. So it's creativity and spirituality. For me, what that means immediately is if we're thinking about Chronos and time related to Saturn, it is time to reel in this chaos. It is time to have a little bit of authority over this, to provide structure, some rules, some regulations. So either get your ego in check, or, to me, this means creative ideas. I'll just say it. There's creative ideas, and it's, I'm going to use willy-nilly again, spitballing, right? When you have all these ideas coming out, you have that flow, and that's a good thing. But it is chaotic because you're not concentrating on one thing. You're not writing them down, but it is required to. You need to index those. You need to provide structure and address each of those creative ideas where it makes sense. They're also standing on, the green grass. That's fertile. That's fertile ground. That's abundance. That's growth. That's fertility. And then we have the blue skies in the background. The blue skies, to me, once again, it's not stormy skies. It's a beautiful day. Doesn't look like a storm is coming in. So, not fighting, a little bit of playful, although we have the striker there in red. What does red mean? What is the only person here that appears to be not kind of holding up their wand or carrying it on their shoulder or maybe defending themselves from this gentleman? He's wearing red. Red is power. Red is authority. It's also love. But it's power, authority. It is structure. Blue is going to mean communication. Are you communicating correctly? If this is external, if this is actually 5 gentlemen, 5 women with creative ideas, too many creative ideas that they can't reel in and balance each one of them out and structure them, are we lacking that communication? Is this telling us, because most of the cards blew, to do that? Or is it subconscious? To work on your subconscious. The subconscious self is automated. So it reacts, the knee-jerk reaction. I don't know. Emotions. Is it talking about the hierarchy of self? Managing the physical self, then managing the mental self, wrapping your mind around your physical self and the external, and then going into managing the emotion so you can be creative or spiritual here, right? Is this a big reminder that, hey, while you think you've mastered that, you've progressed to the wands portion of your journey. Don't forget to remain grounded. Don't forget to, keep your emotions in check. Keep that ego in check, right? If we're looking at the progression through the suit of wands, and I tend to stick to progressions, and I think it's important for the self, for self-mastery, and that's what the tarot means to me, going through each of those suits and mastering each level of self in that hierarchy we just discussed. Looking back at the 4. What is the 4? 4 is stability. 4 is the 4 posts, the 4 legs of a table. So this looks stable. This looks, like harmony and balance, which is what this card usually represents. Then we get into the 5, the chaos. We had that structure. So possibly we had someone invest in a venture. We took out a loan. We have money to create a business. And now it's time. Everyone's excited. We're throwing out all these ideas. Or inside, your mind's racing. You need to write all this down. Structure all these ideas so you don't lose them, one, and so you address them correctly so they grow, right? And shortly after that, there's celebration. And look at the celebration. Remember the gentleman in red. He appears to be riding a white horse. White's purity. Look at that cloak. It's green. The green grass is represented there. The red, the power authority. He took control. He managed those 5 wands that were chaotic and placed them in a manner, structured them in a manner that led to celebration. Still got blue skies back there. So he's managed all those emotions. He's checked that ego. Right? And the last thing I wanted to talk about was how this relates to the Tree of Life. So the 5th Sephira is governed by Mars. Mars is action, masculinity, instinct. It is also aggression. So we definitely don't want Mars coming in there and knocking down the tower. The reason I said tower is Mars governs major arcana card, the tower. But the 5th Sephira on the Tree of Life, excuse me, I'm fighting a cold here. The 5th Sephira on the Tree of Life is going to be discipline. So it's discipline of Mars. So it's discipline of that action, reeling that aggression in. We're not just swinging. We're in here. We're taking action. And this is extremely important to do that, to remain balanced. When you are taking action, you want to be grounded. You want to have your mind wrapped around everything. You want to be emotionally stable so you can make great decisions, so you can create a great product or a great service. And I think this is what this card is talking about, is that remembering everything else you did before this and making sure that's balanced. And what happens when you balance that? What happens when you provide structure for those 5 wands? You're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is the pentagram. The 5 wands make the pentagram. What does the pentagram represent? It's going to represent fire, earth, air, water. 4 of those points. The top is spirit. If you can manage your physical self, your mental self, your emotional self, your creative self, or that spiritual self, and that top is ether, then you can connect. You can get all the information, right? You can elevate, and you might go through the cycles again. Anyway, just want to touch on this just a little bit, kind of give a little bit of my perspective on it, so you don't see it as immediate chaos, and you get that, confusion, and just feel like you can't reel it in. That's why I wanted to talk about this. Thank you so much for your time. As always, appreciate you stopping by. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, and get notifications on updates on the channel and releases, and enjoy the rest of your day. All right, take it easy.